abusia after say EOCO etumi ekofa Dennis Miracles Aboagye of 55 million Ghana cedis alleged scandal no. EOCO release Dennis Miracles Aboagye abusia oba abonte ebe grante interviews na interviews o grante no abusia we di ama Dennis Miracles Aboagye wono no ho papa. Kwa say aftermath ne interviews no na I say ensem akese abusia just say mu eduye na ekọ Dennis Miracles Aboagye so abusia ya te say ya dey judge high court high court any EOCO atumi afreezing Miracles Aboagye ni assets including his bank accounts, his land properties and his houses. Now and then drop full details of Dennis Miracles Aboagye the assets and I say the properties, yes, full details. And then drop in and just say MPP 8 years in power, they say a fraud. Now say your appointment in Kwandia Abusia, why ye yes. Why ye we dear mamma cassa, or mamma cassa, and yet say ya yoko. Na ye tie and communimu ye, yes, ye tie and communimu ye. Dennis Miracles Aboagye abushani alleged criminalities bia just say oba ban mu a obeye ye ne yonko na yintie na yembo mode yan say be kire adwen that's why e be media je be subscribe dey amaye bobo notification bell so for podcast updates yonko na yintie full details of Dennis Miracles Aboagye, full details of Dennis Miracles Aboagye ne the frozen assets yintie emrasisi that's.
So Miracles Aboagye abusuya sisi ade eja egu ni chemu ohunu nyanka wamba bonten amfa nsem bia mba betudwa after say EOCO for release no e free custody abusuya ye de kan breaki e de amamo EOCO omo e de omonsa ato Miracles Aboagye ne asset ni nyina so high court and chese emasa order abusuya full details of Miracles Aboagye ne assets here EOCO edi omonsa atoso no abusuya man ne de Miracles Aboagye no NPP 8 years ten no de say young boy and I say omo NPP no omo di akotene ewo appointment nko ade a nioma ebekoyi edi ama na say Miracles Aboagye yes say two landed properties ni two lands baako or say 2 lands and a house at eastern region. The 2 lands and a fee mansion akese mienu ewo eastern region. And also 2 presidential apartments, residential property at Greater Accra. Oba Greater Accra so yes say 2 presidential apartments. Ye kasa presidential apartment abusuya na say enye apartment ketwa. Miracles Aboagye former Dr. Bawumia and aid na Bawumia akra nso de abusuya and yes say osanso residential property and na me bank account in put the abusuya some money and some catch ye kan enye osanso 5 bank accounts akese for the full details aba ebepe say ye be mako na mako akotie ensema so e political highway so high court freezer wa freezy Miracles Aboagye ne assets abusuya ya better mase mommy yanko na yanko nkotie ya ba ya de aka to so unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell na so send be any update be ever drop no onso onsa every to me akabi.
Increase in fares is back on the table because 2 cedis off diesel is not enough. Away from that, a high court in Accra has confirmed an order freezing 5 bank accounts and 4 landed properties belonging to Dennis Miracles Aboagye as part of a wider freeze covering accounts linked to one Gerard Apia and the company Hillside Piggery and Meat Processing Limited. The order was granted on an application filed by the Economic and Organized Crime Office. Dennis Miracles, the former executive secretary of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, was arrested in connection with alleged stealing and misappropriation of 55 million cedis of public funds by EOCO. Now, Miracles, who denies the claims, however, has seen his accounts and properties frozen as part of investigations ongoing into the matter and other claims against him. That's a bit more on the story, details of the freezes, the journey so far for Miracles. Remember that he was arrested and then kept behind in the coolers of EOCO for a little bit. Mawana is going to show us the journey so far and what we are learning about the property freezes, bank account freezes. Mawana, what do we know?
Right, so the journey does start somewhere in July, right? Around July 14, we were here where Christian Yale was at the EOCO head office. He had been arrested upon his return to the country. The NPP had issued flyers, amongst many other things, seeking an explanation as to why he'd been picked up, right? This is what EOCO told us after that he was arrested in connection with a former accountant general that appeared in connection with investigations into alleged financial and procurement irregularities at the Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. And I'm going to skip this part because the third slide is where the meat is, right? Investigators suspect the misappropriation, misapplication, diversion, and theft of approximately 55 million cedis in public funds. The suspects are being investigated for conspiracy to steal, stealing, and using public office for personal profit. Other alleged offenses including causing financial loss to the state, dissipation of public funds, defrauding by false pretenses, and money laundering, as well as other suspected offenses. So this was the details as EOCO provided and sought to explain a bit more as to why he had been picked up. Now, subsequently, he was granted bail in the regions of around 50 million cedis thereabout, with sureties and landed properties. Those conditions were met. Now, upon his release to bail, due to bail, Miracles Aboagye denied flatly that he had ever been spoken to whilst he was with EOCO about this 55 million cedis. And subsequently, when Kemeni spoke to the Deputy Attorney General, he mentioned specifically that what Dennis Miracles Aboagye was saying was not accurate. And in fact, investigators did ask him about that 55 million cedis. But fast forward, what are we learning? What we're learning, amongst many other things, is that a court has confirmed the freeze orders against properties belonging to Dennis Aboagye, right? What are these? Now, we're talking about 2 landed properties, right, in the eastern region. 2 in the eastern region, land and a house in the eastern region. Then in the Greater Accra region, 2 landed properties again, residential apartments and residential properties as well as 5 bank accounts. All have been frozen by EOCO and have same been confirmed by a court of law as we understand today. And so as we speak, the investigations are continuing into Dennis Miracles Aboagye in connection with Gerald Appiah, who were both with that committee on decentralization at the presidency over 55 million cedis and other related matters. But the freeze order has been confirmed by the court, and that is what we know at this particular point in time in relation to Miracles Aboagye and the freeze order. Our phone lines are being worked and as well to establish a response as well from him in relation to this particular subject matter. But with that,
let's have a quick chat with Daniel Fenyi, who speaks for the Ghana Education Service. Daniel, I appreciate the time this afternoon. I want us to look at the grading systems that we have seen come out, anytime results come in. Is the service happy about the outcome of the exams to start with?
Indeed, good afternoon and thank you for having me. I should mention that Ghana Education Service, we work very collaboratively with WAEC. What we do, or our role in this, is to prepare and present our students. And of course, with our teachers being invigilators mostly, and the examiners mostly as well, they support with the conduct of the examination. However, in terms of the setting of the questions, the conduct of the examination, the marking, releasing of results, and all related issues with that, they solely lie with WAEC. Are we happy that we Are we happy of the result we are seeing?
Yep.
We are happy. We are happy that when our students are assessed, the nation is able to see the real competencies that our children get in school. And so the results you see represent the competence, the skills they have acquired in their 9 years or so journey, right from kindergarten to JHS 3. So we are happy that we are able to conduct examination in a fair environment, meritorious process. More practices have reduced to a very large extent, and we even hope to advance it further in the subsequent examinations. And we are happy that tomorrow, if a child picks their BEC result or certificate and present it to you, you would say that, or you would admit that the competence they are exhibiting to you is fairly captured on the certificate they are presenting.
Despite what you have said,
well.
Daniel, despite what you have said, Daniel, there are those who have raised questions about the use of the Star 9 grading system, that it's not a true reflection of the performance of students. How does that come to you?
That assertion is oversimplification of the situation. In other words, we would not have any assessment system. We would not have any assessment model where if you ask a child or if you ask a student what 1 + 1 is and he writes 2, you will mark the student down because you have some system that has to definitely fail some students or definitely pass a percentage of the student. So the performances you see, the percentages you see, the pass marks that you see are a true representation of their abilities. No one is marked down or no one is marked up because there's some funny
but if we're using annual averages, how do we compare growth? How do we compare fairness year on year if we are using annual averages of best performing students for whichever year?
Yes, so we take the year by year analysis and then we look at the performances of the student with respect to the year in review, just as we do with many or any other award systems or marking systems or assessment systems. And so let no one think that if a student gets 1 in a particular year, it means that they may be brighter than a student who also scored 1 in a different year, just because they believe there's a system that checks these students and their performances. If a student writes an examination and gets 90 over 100, whichever year they wrote it, that 90 is still recorded for them. If a student writes an examination,
I understand what you're saying, but year on year, we've been told that the Star 9 grading system limitation goes up to about 22%. Now, if a student could have been bright in year 1, but in year 2, because of the grading system, they are not bright based on the outcome of the exams they sat for, it's unfair to the students, is it not?
A bright student is not reduced, or the grade of a bright student is not reduced because there's an assessment system that makes sure that even if you are bright, your brightness comes down. That's not
what I'm saying. I think you misunderstand me, because if I finished in 2001 and the grading system is different from 2002, despite passing my grades here, if you are doing a comparative basis, it would appear that because the 2002 average was higher, the students who finished in 2002 will not come out as bright as those who finished in 2001. Do you understand me?
And that is the impression I want you to erode from your mind.
Why so?
That there's no assessment system in this world that reduces the brightness of or the competence of any student who has sat the exams.
But the result of
so
paper is what tells it. I think it is the use of bright that is the problem, but the substance of the question, which is to whether or not my results will look good, as bright as I am, has not been addressed. And I hope that you can address that.
So I give you an example.
Okay.
We are in a week where we are going to do, in fact, the students are doing the selection of their schools, placement will come and all that, right? And if you have heard before that in the placement, we look at the raw scores of the students, right? What do we mean by raw scores? Raw scores simply means that we are going to assess the student on 6 subjects. The 4 core subjects, English, Math, Social Studies, Science, and then any best 2, right? So we expect that a student will be scored over 600 marks. I mean, given that each subject is 100%, so they will get 600, right? And that is the raw score we are going to use or consider in the placement of these students. If a student scored, let's say, 500 over the 600, or if a student scores, let's say, 550 over 600, and that is the real competence of that student, right? So
Very
they
well.
are so good that they are able to score 550.
Very well, Daniel.
Is there any assessment system that can make a student not get their 550? And that's what I'm answering, that no, the assessment system itself does not reduce the marks or the quality or the competence of the students in question. And that is an impression that has been created for a very long time, as though the assessment systems
Very well, Daniel.
determine...
I'm afraid I'm out of time on this, but let's agree to disagree. We'll pick up this conversation another time. Thank you so much. Daniel Fenyi speaks for the Ghana Education Service. More on the story later.
Now, the Public Utilities Workers Union, PUW, of the Trades Union Congress says government's decision to appoint a transaction advisor to facilitate private sector participation in the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company is a show of bad faith. The union says the move undermines ongoing engagement over the future of the 2 state-owned power distributors. In a statement issued today, August 3, PUW says it has submitted a comprehensive alternative proposal to the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition after being invited to present solutions to the challenges facing ECG. What are these solutions and what more has PUW been saying? Here's what we know, right? They've identified political interference, weak governance, foreign exchange losses, and poor accountability as the main challenges of both ECG and NEDCO. The union argues that privatization could increase electricity costs, threaten jobs, and weaken national control over the country's energy sector. PUW proposes competent and technical leadership, depoliticized management, and clear performance targets. The union is demanding that ECG and NEDCO remain under public ownership and control. PUW and other TUC affiliates say they are prepared to use every legitimate means to resist the privatization process. The union remains open to working with government on reforms to improve ECG, NEDCO, and the wider energy sector. Timothy Nyame is General Secretary of PUW. He's joined us via the phone lines for a quick chat. Mr. Nyame, I appreciate you. You say there's bad faith. Where is the bad faith when the government has not hidden at all its intention to include private sector participation in the management of ECG? At least this government, since it started, announced a committee which was looking at what mode would be best after the committee's work was done. They've been very current and frontal in terms of the conversation. So where's the bad faith?
Thank you very much, and one greeting to all your listeners and viewers. Yes, so the main purpose for privatization of ECG is a performance. From the time His Excellency came to office and appointment of the board of directors and management, what have you seen, my brother? You have seen tremendous change and improvement in the energy sector, that's including ECG. So, if that performance is the indicator of who they want to privatize, why? That's the state asset. essentially the president has overwhelming power to appoint and disappoint. So who has consistently stated their position when it comes to public sector participation in ECG, stating that.
Hello, Mr. Gami, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you, please. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We lost you just briefly. You were making a point and we lost you briefly.
So what I'm saying is that the reason for public sector participation in ECG, the performance that was not good. And I'm stating that after the appointment of the board of directors and management, you have seen this significant improvement that the management in conjunction with the staff of ECG have helped turn around the fortunes of the organization.
Right. Mr. Nyame, right. Despite this turnaround, are you aware that the latest financial statement as published by ECG points to the fact that government paid in excess of 10 billion cedis provided as loan to ECG to cater for some of the power producers and purchases in fuel, amongst other things. The technical and commercial losses has gone up to 27%, amongst other things. There are legitimate concerns and legitimate challenges with the management of the Electricity Company of Ghana, which continues to remain a burden on government's books. If they believe a private sector participation takes off in excess of a 10 billion cedis whole, should they not pursue it?
Are they still saying that their management problems in ECG? Is that what they are still stating? Is that what government is stating? And the payment that government made, has he told you how much they are owing ECG? Look, it is on record at the AGM of ECG that ECG did not borrow a single cedi from government. There was no any support. Meanwhile, they were able to release from 8 billion to 2 billion. You know the record high performance after the increased revenue from 900 million to 2.1 billion as we speak now, with the stable power supply, with stable power supply with system losses reduction. Is that what they are saying? Yeah, well, let us be realistic. That the reason why they start to publish is no more relevant. At the AGM of ECG, government itself applauded ECG for this tremendous performance. So what justification are they bringing? If you are paid, you have paid debt on behalf of ECG. Let us quickly look at how much you are owing, how much government is owing ECG. That they have not actually stated.
In spite of the tremendous reforms, right? ECG lost about 14.35 billion cedis in 2025 operational losses. Right? Despite the fact that the forest did some magic in terms of helping the bottom line amongst many other things. 14.35 billion cedis in operational losses. Mr. Nyame, it can be better, can it not?
Are they saying that? So
no, I'm actually reading the financial statement of ECG. These are not conjectures or anything. Financial statement from ECG.
I'm also having the financial statement of ECG.
Right.
So quickly, let's go to the financial position of ECG. So have you seen the previous performance against this current performance?
No.
Are you watching it?
Mr. Nyame, the argument is whether it can be better, whether it can improve, whether we can go from in excess of 14 billion, because this continues to be a whole. 14 billion cedis, someone has to pay for it. So can we make it better? How do we make it better? Is a question being asked. The government says their solution is for a private sector player to come in and help reduce these losses.
So my brother, if that's what they wanted to do, why did they call why did they call the union to come and take their position paper for discussion? Why have they reneged on that issue to do with this? Why did they call the union to come and present their position paper for discussion, and they have gone ahead to state their roadmap for PSC? Right? That's what we are asking. So is it not a moving backwards? If you tell me that, my brother, I should meet you here, I should meet you as a media general, and I come and say, we have gone to Kumasi, is that not acting in bad faith? That's what government has done.
Right.
And we are taking our position and saying that, look, if you know that you want to go ahead and do something, go ahead and you also hear from us. But you don't call us to come and sit down and produce something for you for discussion. Then you leave it down and go ahead and go and present this paper to Ghanaians on the floor.
I mean that's a fair point, right? That's a fair point as to why you're being asked to come to the conversation table and then the government is going ahead. But the critical question from the perspective of workers, pool, how do we turn around ECG such that operational losses of 14.35 billion cedis become a thing of the past?
Look, what I'm saying, I don't know where you are reading from, but if you take the financial position of ECG after 2025, you will see that the losses have reduced. ECG losses have reduced from 8 billion to 2 billion and a little over 2 billion.
Right.
That is the performance that you are seeing. Look at the financial report. I was in AGM and I don't know why the media were not invited. You can see the performance and applause that the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Finance, and other stakeholders were giving. So long as the performance of ECG is concerned, then you wake up the following day and say that no, ECG is still debt reading. Look, it takes the collective effort of management, government, and the workers of ECG that the destiny of ECG should be in the hands of Ghana. You don't need to bring a private sector in government entity. You say that tomorrow we should send a Minister of Energy and Gas Transition to the private sector. Somebody should come for himself and come and manage the ministry.
Right.
Is that what you are saying? Is that what you are saying? No, the indicators of good performance is there. And you can recall that later part of last year, the managing director of ECG was given several awards for his performance. And so, what we are demanding that ECG to make ECG stand as spelled out in our position paper, which we send to government, who requested for it.
Right,
so,
Mr.
instead
Yami,
of calling us,
appreciate
you go ahead to appoint the treasury advisor.
Right. I appreciate you. I'm sure we'll have the chance to speak a bit more in relation to this subject matter because it's not the last we're going to be having a conversation in relation to this matter. But that's Timothy Nyami. He is the boss of the Public Utilities Workers Union, speaking to us in relation to the privatization of, he's a general secretary, right, of POOL.
So abusua we ne ensema ekoso our political high unit. So Miracles Aboagye and HSC you so and the latest update on a EOCO asset or more freezing and on some and a debre. Remember I say some of Japan and cocoa teaser and some way at the MI a gossip politics TV so.